Is anybody really asking for more Netflix anime adaptations? Eiichiro Oda, he said yes for One Piece, so they're doing One Piece, but maybe he's just there for the check. We don't know. I believe in Oda, but he could just be there for the check. There was a previous live action anime adaptation called Cowboy Bebop, and the creator of the anime, Shinichiro Watanabe, had some choice things to say in this Forbes Games article. They interviewed him about making Cowboy Bebop and what he thought of the live action adaptation. He had some words to say that we're going to share. Luckily for me, somebody has already taken some of them from the article, so I can just read them. He said, for the new Netflix live action adaptation, they sent me a video to review and check. It started with a scene in the casino. That made it very tough for me to continue. I stopped there, and so I only saw that opening scene. It was clearly not Cowboy Bebop, and I realized at that point, if I wasn't involved, it would not be Cowboy Bebop. He said, I felt I should have done this. That means to say he should have been involved. The value of the original anime is somehow higher because of the failed adaptation, is essentially what he said after that. So it's interesting that he comes out for a while after this has been done and out. And you know what's funny about people that defend the live action adaptations? They're saying, well, you know, give somebody else a shot, let them make something new. The problem is, it's not making something new, it's making something that existed that has an existing fan base, and that's the reason it got greenlit in the first place. That's why Netflix greenlit it in the first place, because they knew that people like me and other people would talk about it on the internet, whether they liked it or not. It has nothing to do with making anything new, because if they wanted to make something new, they would just make a new series. But this is what we're doing instead. This is what else Shinichiro Watanabe had to say about the adaptation of his beloved anime that he created over, I think, 20 years ago now. The issues with Hollywood producers and the future. Now I am working on a new and original title. Most of the offers I receive tend to be from America, and the budgets tend to be double compared to what I get in Japan. And then he said he worked on the Animatrix, which I completely forgot about, that Shinichiro Watanabe had a short on the Animatrix, which was basically a collection of shorts based on the Matrix universe that were considered canon. I think most of them are still considered canon. But he said, back on the Animatrix, I first got to work with people in Hollywood. Working with those kind of people is always difficult, because in the beginning, they promised me that I could do whatever I want, but that's just lip service. You're basically a creative consultant that doesn't get listened to. Ask George Lucas. He's not even an anime creator, but as far as I know. But look at what happened with Star Wars. They said, oh, sure, you can come in and you can give us as many suggestions as you want. We're not going to follow any of them, but you are free to get paid and give some suggestions. Screw, you know, your contribution to the work that you could give, considering the fact that you created it. So basically, I wonder if this is what happened to the people that greenlit The Last Airbender. They said, hey, we want to do this thing. And they were like, oh, sure, can we help? And they're like, oh, sure you can. And then they tried to help, and then they were shut down, or, you know, gave them the runaround, and the studio did whatever they wanted to do. That could have been what happened. And we, you know, just kind of blame Shyamalan, even though he was just like, hey, you know, I'm trying to make a check too. That doesn't excuse The Last Airbender, though. Let's be clear. What else did Shinichiro Watanabe have to say about the live-action Cowboy Bebop series and working with Hollywood producers? He said, I had an altercation with a Hollywood producer on the Animatrix. He would always come with stupid requests just so he could identify his own contribution. So he just was giving him ideas, saying, oh, you know, you should do this and that. So then I know that I can get a certain percentage of what you make, because I can tell them I did that. I suggested that idea that you put in that worked so well. Whether it worked well or didn't, you know, they're going to get the credit for it, or going to try to at least. Unfortunately, I couldn't win this situation. He rejected all of the contributions dude asked for. He said, I learned from this bitter experience, though. I became smarter at handling people who wanted to interfere. And then he gives us straight up game for anybody that's trying to make anything or get anything made. I would send back very small corrections or adjustments just before the deadline. For the people that have worked under such deadlines, it's like, ugh. But maybe now we see why some of the creators do that, because we try to get everything, you know, up and out, you know, if we're trying to make something for somebody. But maybe they're getting the runaround, so they have to give the people under them who are actually, you know, producing the thing full time a runaround. It's kind of crazy. He said, sometimes you also find good producers in America. He's trying to balance it out. He's like, not every producer I've met is like that. He said, the original producer on the Animatrix was a really good guy. He understood my work and didn't give me stupid requests, which makes sense because since he's the original producer, he probably told them to get Watanabe because he knew about Cowboy Bebop and how great Watanabe's writing would be in the Matrix universe. That's why he got put on the project to begin with. But he had to leave due to family issues. And he named his successor. If you're watching this instead of listening to it, you can see his name because it's up. I'm not going to say it, but it's funny because it shows how different Japan is from America. Because in America, these things happen and you don't find out years later who people were talking about. Watanabe just straight up was like, it was this dude. So if you're working with him, you need to be careful. And he said his successor was awful. And he said this like on Forbes, y'all. I like Japan. I like Japan, man. I'm sorry. He said so many requests. Change this, change that. It was very frustrating. And if these requests were coming from the Wachowskis who made the Matrix, he would understand it and respect it. So who was the new producer compared to the Wachowskis? That's what he was basically saying. I'm paraphrasing a lot of this. The dude explained that he was the gatekeeper to the Wachowskis. And unless he could be convinced that the changes were what he wanted, he wouldn't bring his work to the Wachowskis. That is so... Can you imagine how many great things are being prevented from creation or production because somebody don't want to tell somebody else something and it could benefit everybody? Everybody gets paid. I just turned into a zombie just now. Sorry if you're watching this. You could be getting everybody paid. Everybody can be getting paid. But you want to let your ego get in front of literally everybody involved, the animators, the producers, the director, the studio, the network. Like it's ridiculous. This section of the tweet ends with Watanabe saying, so when I went to Los Angeles for the recording sessions, I told the team that if I saw that producer, I would just punch him in the face. The producer ended up not coming to the recordings, which is unheard of. Yeah. When you're a producer, for those that don't know, a film producer, you kind of have to sign off on, you don't have to, but it is in your best interest because you're putting both your reputation and your money on the line, depending on what project you're doing. It could be both. You need to see what is being produced with your money and the time that you are allocating people to produce the thing that you want produced. It is in your best interest because it's an investment. Watanabe said that this dude stopped coming to the showings, basically, to see, because they call them dailies or whatever. They stopped going to the showings because he was afraid, presumably, that Watanabe was going to knock him out. Go Shinichiro Watanabe. I appreciate you, bro. Not just for Cowboy Bebop, but for just putting this out on Front Street, on Forbes, putting the dude's name out. I feel like more of America should be like that. But there are too many snakes in the grass for it to work correctly. That's the end of the story. If you're in a place where you can comment like YouTube or social media, tell me what you think about what Shinichiro Watanabe said about film producers and American adaptations of Japanese properties or any adaptation of any property, and the film producers that might be either helping these things get made or getting in the way of them. Leave your thoughts below in the comments. If you like this video, please like this video. It helps the channel out. And if you're listening to this on Anchor or Spotify or anywhere, do something. Give me a download or stars or whatever's on Apple. I don't know what's on Apple anymore. I use Google Podcasts and Spotify. I don't know. The fact that you listen to it is enough for me. I love you. Thank you very much. And see you on the next panel of frames. Peace.